The Fox hosts on Fox and Friends got into a fight. We have Steve Doocy and Brian Kilmeade. This is over the issue of vaccines, but also the issue of, the role of government. Watch.
But listen, if you didn't get a vaccination, that's your choice. And if you did, like I did, and they did, and maybe you did, then you should not wear a mask. And if you didn't, if you want to go cliff diving this weekend, you don't have to check with me. It seems a little dangerous, but I'm not going to judge you. And if you go ahead and put yourself in danger, if you feel as though this is not something for you, don't do it. But don't affect my life.
99% of the people who are dying from COVID are unvaccinated.
That's their choice.
They don't want to die. So they are, the administration and the government is saying, we need the mask mandate to protect the unvaccinated.
That's not their job. It's not their job to protect anybody.
Well, that's amazing. It's not their job to protect anybody, says Brian Kilmeade about the government. I don't think he has the same opinion if there's, say, a terrorist attack that happens under a Democratic president. It's not the government's job to protect anybody. It's your free choice. Use your personal responsibility if you're going to get attacked by Al-Qaeda or something. Whatever. It's not the government's job to protect people. Now, understand, it's a complex situation, right? Like, you do have to balance freedom and liberty with safety and security. There is, like, sort of a balancing act. So, just to give an example, seatbelts. Like, are seatbelts being mandatory? Is that the government telling you have to do some shit? Yes. It's the government's telling you have to do this. Click. So, now you can be all hyperbolic about that and say, oh my God, my liberty is being taken away by this. But that's clearly an overreaction, and you're being a little silly, and I would file that more under the category of, like, basic regulation. And if doing something as simple as this, click, saves like tens of thousands of lives a year, I don't know the actual number to be fair, so maybe it's less than that, maybe it's more than that. I genuinely don't know. But if that does save thousands of lives a year, then I think it's a great law. I think it's a great invention. Thank you, Ralph Nader. I think it's a great law. I don't know if Ralph Nader didn't invent it. I think he's the one who did the lawsuits that eventually led to the law being passed. Again, I don't remember the specifics of this, but if that's all it takes, then in the conversation and the debate between where do we allow complete freedom and liberty and where do we provide for safety and security, I think you struck a great balance there, where you're providing for safety and security, while also giving people liberty and freedom. Like, it's not taking away too much of your freedom to spend literally a second clicking in the seatbelt. Now, on the flip side, if they said, we're going to ban all cars because people die in cars, then I say you're leaning way too much on the side of safety and security and not nearly enough on the side of freedom and liberty. So there is a balancing act. I don't want it, to be misconstrued. The world is a complex place, and sometimes, there are messy solutions to stuff. But for him to say it's not the government's job at all to protect people, at all. So why do we have, clean air and clean water rules? Why do we have regulations around that? Why do we have building codes? Why do we have a military that's supposed to go after Al-Qaeda? Now, by the way, everybody knows we're more of an empire, and oftentimes we're the baddies, but I digress from that point. Nominally speaking, you do want to protect from, like, Al-Qaeda. Why do we have police officers? To protect people, in certain situations, and to protect people's rights. So if the conversation is, look, get a vaccine or don't get a vaccine if you want, but to have, like, a mask mandate if you're not vaccinated, is that, like, a ridiculous, thing that's really overly punitive and it takes away your freedom and your liberty? I don't think so. I think in a pandemic, it's totally within the purview of government to say, hey, we're going to do a universal mask mandate, or we're going to do a mask mandate among the unvaccinated, or we're going to do it at the state level or the local level or even the federal level. I actually think if we had copied Japan early on, it took a much longer time for Japan to get hit hard by COVID because they basically had universal masks. And so if we had universal masks in this country earlier on, I think we would have been better off. I don't think that crosses the line into too draconian and too much of a crackdown on freedom and liberty. I just think that's, again, more of an intelligent basic safety regulation. So it's just a hilarious quote. it's not the government's job to protect us. One of the things it's supposed to do is protect us for sure. And in fact, I think, again, if you change the context, Kilmeade would flip on that opinion in a second. If there was a terrorist attack under a Democratic president, he'd be like, the government's only job is to protect us, and they failed. They failed. Look, Ducey appears to be way more pro-vaccine than Kilmeade, and I respect that. But notice, Kilmeade did say, even though he's arguing for a different position, he did say, I was vaccinated. I need you to understand something. Everybody who's selling snake oil to you about vaccines, almost all of them, over 90% of them, are vaccinated. I just need you to understand that. Because these people are not walking the walk and talking the talk. These people are hypocrites. They're selling you a vision and a worldview that actually doesn't coincide with what theirs really is. And I'll put it this way. There's a reason why Joe Biden was vaccinated, and there's a reason why Donald Trump was vaccinated. Now, I got a million problems with Big Pharma, but that doesn't mean antibiotics don't work, and that doesn't mean that vaccines don't work. If you don't think vaccines work, what the fuck happened to polio, and what the fuck happened to smallpox? So, the shit works. The shit works. And if anything, my issue with the media is that they're too much on the side of they don't paint an accurate picture, and they actually feed vaccine hesitancy. And we talked about this in a previous segment where they said the Pfizer vaccine is only 64% effective against the new Delta variant. Then you read the specifics, and actually it's 94% effective against severe illness and hospitalization. That's the only number that matters, guys. Now, technically, is it less effective? Yes, but you know what it was before that? 97%. So it's 97% effective against the original COVID variant, and now it's 94% effective against the Delta variant, and there were scaremongering headlines like, now it's only 64% effective. Nonsense. If you get COVID, if you've had the Pfizer vaccine and you get COVID and you have the sniffles, they count that against the vaccine. They say it didn't work. What do you mean it didn't work? The person who had the sniffles may have been hospitalized previously or may have had a moderate case of the illness. What are you talking about? Of course it worked. Of course it fucking worked. So I think the media is doing actually a terrible job talking about this stuff. It's really interesting to see that Ducey is like the more reasonable one, because Ducey's like 99% of the people who are dying are unvaccinated. And Kilmeade's like, I don't want the government to protect me. And mask mandates are tyranny. Mask mandates in a pandemic are tyranny. All right, well, there you have it. Never thought I'd be clearly taking a side in a fight among Fox News morons, but Team Ducey. Team Ducey over Team Douchey.